Day one of the Madlanga Commission is over, and South Africans got a front row seat to something very rare. You hardly see this in our days. Truth delivered with courage. So, if you were at work, sempantweni, hustling, or just couldn't sit through the 6 hours of the testimony, don't stress. I've got you. I'm going to try and break down some of the key points. Believe me, shots were fired. These criminals, they're shaking. By the end of this commission, zonke lezi gebengu zizobhosha imbazo. Make no mistake about it. Today was Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's show. He came with confidence. He was prepared and backed with evidence. The fearless general of the people didn't just talk. He gave South Africans hope. Let us take a look back to the journey that Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi walked to become the fearless general of the people he is today.
I joined the service in 1993, June, when I underwent training at the police college in Pretoria. And from there, I was deployed to go and work in Potchefstroom. At the time, the unit was called Internal Stability Unit. In 1993, when December after my training, which the name then later changed into Public Order Policing Unit. And from Public Order Policing Unit, Potchefstroom, I moved to Durban, Public Order Policing Unit. That is when I joined the Special Task Force from Durban. I attended a training in the Special Task Force in 1998, and from there I worked at the unit, the Special Task Force Durban, until 2001. In 2001, I moved to Pretoria, where I assumed command of the Pretoria unit, Special Task Force. And from there, I became the deputy head of the task force, and subsequently promoted to the overall command of the Special Task Force in 2005. And from there, I moved to become a head of specialized operations that includes the Air Wing, the Special Task Force, the NIU, TRT, and other units that are tactical in the South African Police Service. And from there, I became the Acting National Commissioner. From the position of Acting National Commissioner, which was a couple of months, just less than a year, I spent the whole year after that enjoying time sitting at home without the post. And subsequent to that, I was then deployed to be the head of facility management in the South African Police Service. And from there, I became the head of the training section of the police, which is a division that is referred to as Human Resource Development. And from Human Resource Development, I was deployed in KwaZulu-Natal to go and act in the period 2018 until 2019. And from there, I moved back to the head office under the Division Operational Response Service, where I worked until 2021. That is when, in April, I assumed my responsibility of being the Provincial Commissioner of KwaZulu-Natal. So that is a position I'm currently occupying.
There you have it, comrades. Even though Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi joined the service in 1993 during apartheid, he didn't sing or doi his way through the ranks to become the general. So why is this important? He's not just blowing hot air. This wasn't just fluff. He was establishing credibility so that South Africans could see that he is not just another comrade. He lived the job, he fought crime, and he understands the system from ground up. When a man builds himself, brick by brick, inside the system, he doesn't need spin doctors, fixers, or Paul Sullivans of the world to sound convincing. Believe me, Mkhwanazi is a real deal, in case you still had doubts. Day one was almost entirely about the political killings task team. Why? Because in 2016, The situation became so bad that the cabinet has to form an interministerial committee that will focus on these killings. But that's not where it started. Actually, it started in 2011, but it didn't really give the result. So in 2018, after the Nhlanhla Commission, the task team was restructured to deal specifically with the assassination targeting politicians, councillors, activists, and traditional leaders. Why the history lesson? Mkhwanazi wanted to remind the commission that this task team was a cabinet decision. It had full government backing. That means that no minister, no commissioner could just wake up one day and decide to shut it down without following the due process. Now we know. The KZN political killings task team wasn't just a small project. It was a weapon built specifically to fight political assassination. And today, the general showed us how Senzo Mchunu tried to break that weapon. So, on the New Year's Eve, 31st of December, Senzo Mchunu sent a written instruction to disband the KZN political killings task team and move the dockets to Pretoria. No consultation with the IMC, no procedures, just him and Sibiya. And at the same time, the 121 killings dockets were moved or snatched from KZN. Why is this important? It created delays in the investigations. Some cases were literally at the point of arrest and suddenly stalled, packed, and collecting dust in the offices in Pretoria. Families and victims, communities and whistleblowers were left hanging. No updates to the victims and no investigation was carried after that, except for one document, one docket that was followed up. Imagine you're about to see justice served. The hitmen are about to be cuffed and locked away. Then boom, a politician signs one paper and everything else freezes. That's why Mkhwanazi is sweating bullets right now. After the shutdown, the docket went to the Deputy Commissioner, Shedrack Sibiya. Instead of sending them back to the originating stations, he kept them under his tight central control. Mkhwanazi revealed this wasn't procedure. It looked like sabotage. Sibiya and his people at head office became the goalkeeper of the 121 political killings. That gave him and whoever influenced him the power to stall arrest, hide files, or even lose evidence. Basically, Sibiya turned himself into a goalie, but instead of blocking goals, he blocked justice. No wonder his name is being whispered in fear tonight. After the instruction that the dockets must be returned to KZN, and then Mkhwanazi and his people did an audit. Yes, some docket had new entries showing that investigations were done and the arrests were ready to be made. But those arrests never been made. The police knew who the killers were. The evidence was there, but the cases were frozen by political interference. It's not that cops didn't know who killed the councillors and activists. They knew. They were told not to do nothing by Sibiya and Mchunu. To support Mkhwanazi's allegation, immediately after the dockets were returned to KZN, the arrests were made. Yes, Fannie Masemola reactivated the political killings task team. He admitted the disbandment was irregular. In the Eastern Cape and in KZN, the investigation to the assassination have resumed. Masemola is trying to clean up shame. But let's be honest, if Mkhwanazi didn't expose this mess, the political killing task team will still be dead. And this is pressure from the streets, not the leadership from above. While Mkhwanazi testified, criminals and their political handlers are shaking. Cockroaches are scattering when the kitchen light comes on. For ordinary people, this testimony brought something rare. Confidence that someone in uniform was finally on their side. This is why people are calling him the fearless general of the people. The general is at war here. Mkhwanazi is not just fighting the state. He also turned his sight on Paul O'Sullivan, suing him for 5 bars. For decades, O'Sullivan has been untouchable, branding himself as the fearless forensic investigator. Fake. Now, for the first time, someone inside the SAPS called him out legally. For years, Paul Sullivan was the loudest man in the room. Today, he met his match. Mkhwanazi doesn't just fire shots, he fires bazookas. You know, I was thinking, after all of this, there is an opportunity for the ANC and its GNU partners. This commission could be a lifeline for the ANC and its partners heading into the local elections next year. If they can allow Mkhwanazi to clean the house, they can tell voters, we fought corruption and political killings. But if they sabotage him, they'll prove once again that the justice is for sale. This commission is a God-given gift to the current government. One last chance to do at least one thing right before voters kick them out. My final take on the day one of the Madlanga Commission: this was no ordinary hearing. It was the general's show. The fearless general of the people walked in prepared, confident, and armed with evidence. He exposed how political killings were sabotaged, how the 121 dockets were frozen, and how corrupt leaders played games with South Africans' lives. Day one of the Madlanga Commission wasn't boring at all. Mkhwanazi came prepared, confident as usual, and fearless. He exposed politicians, shook criminals, and gave South Africans a reason to believe again. If this was just day one, then day two is gonna have dynamites. By the time we get to next week, we are going to rewrite South African history. Stay locked in, because we are covering every bullet fired. We are exposing the lies. They talk right and walk left. Sibabhekile. Tell your friend to subscribe.